All right, what is up, everybody? Yes, I am going to take the opposite side of this whole Micah Parsons trade from the Cowboys to the Packers. It's not because I'm a Lions homer. It's because I understand math, and I understand what a $47 million a year contract on a defensive end does, especially when you have to pay for it. Now, this is going to change things for the Detroit Lions and Aiden Hutchinson, but before I get into all that, I'm still deciding on the title. Did we just get a major favor from an NFC North rival? Are we talking about this guy that we just signed as the final player of our 53-man roster? And am I going to have a title about something signing a weapon and what this guy can fulfill on the back end of our defense? I'm still trying to decide. But what we are first going to talk is a guy named Thomas Harper. He is a safety. We know that Brad Holmes signed 2 defensive linemen early on after cutting the roster all the way down to 50. So why did he cut the roster all the way down to 50? First, let's talk about that very quickly. He said we had 50 make the team. When they were asking him about it, they're like, "Hey, Brad, why 50?" He's like, "We had 50. All right?" He said the players that make the team make the team. We don't say who's the first 3 out. Well, let's put them on the team. That's not how it works around here. So we had 50 guys make the team. In other words, what Brad Holmes is saying is the standard is the standard. You don't go below the standard just because you have 3 extra spots on your roster. The standard is the standard. All right. He also went on to say that it does give us a lot of flexibility to make trades, waiver claims, and possible additions, which they ended up using that flexibility. All right. And now they're using that flexibility to go out and get Thomas Harper. All right. So when we look at this guy, this is very interesting. I want to just give you a quick little rundown of who he is. And I want you to make a decision kind of for yourself here because I love what I'm seeing. Yes, it's the 53rd man on our roster. I understand that. All right. Harper played 4 seasons at Oklahoma State before transferring to Notre Dame. He would go undrafted, signed with the Chargers. He was released at cutdowns, claimed by the Raiders. They love doing that to each other, by the way. They hate each other, and it's funny how they often do that. All right, we're the Chargers and Raiders. Anyways, you don't care. During his rookie season, he played 15 games for the Raiders. So he's cut at cutdowns from the Chargers. I just want to be clear on this. So at this point last year, he signs with the Raiders. So as an undrafted free agent, less than 2 weeks before the start of the season, he gets claimed by the Raiders, and he ends up playing in 15 games. That's crazy. Now he's here doing the exact same thing for the Detroit Lions. For the Raiders, he started in 5 of those games. He played almost 200 snaps on defense. All right, in those 5 games, he had 26 tackles, 2 pass deflections, a pick, half a sack. He recorded an overall 78.3 grade from PFF, including a 76.4 coverage grade. On special teams, he was a 5-phase special teamer, recording 264 special team snaps on kick coverage / return, punt coverage and return, and field goal / extra point block teams. The dude played special teams like crazy. And you can see why. The only thing that hurt him was his size. He's gotten a little bigger, by the way. He's put on a couple of extra pounds, but he had elite speed for a safety coming out of college. He had okay agility, elite explosion. That's why he's on the punt block team and the kick block team. And that's why he was able to have multiple deflections and an interception, because the explosion makes up for the lack of size. But he's strong for a safety with 18 reps on the bench. He's fast. So you look at this guy and you're like, okay, this is probably better. When you look at him at PFF, I know he only played 191 snaps. I think you need to get over 100 to qualify. His overall grade was 15th among safeties. Okay, 15th. His pass rush grade doesn't really matter, and his coverage grade was 15th. I mean, I guess his pass rush grade can matter if there's enough opportunities there. He got a half a sack. Like, this is good. This is a really good pickup for the end. It's a guy who has some upside. And when I look at it in comparison to some of the guys we let go, like, and a lot of them are still in the practice squad, but Tyson Russell, Alan George, DJ Miller, Lawrence Strickland, right? Maurice Norris, all right? Heal well, brother. All right, those are the kind of things where I'm just like, yep, I'd rather have this guy for sure. All right, now, here's what I want to do. I want to talk about the Micah Parsons trade. I want to talk about that. Yes, I want to talk about how it affects Hutch. But I also want to talk about the other side of it. No matter where you watch, ESPN, NFL Network, everybody in the national media is talking about this. And everybody is making fun of Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, do I agree that it was stupid timing? Dumb timing? Yes, I agree. They probably, maybe, could have gotten more back in March. Maybe. All right, as long as it came with an extension then as well. But also sometimes teams are just desperate right now. So the Cowboys sent Micah Parsons. In return, they get Pro Bowl defensive tackle Kenny Clark, who, by the way, has raised just a bunch of havoc for the Lions over the last couple of years. So will Micah Parsons. All right, but Pro Bowl defensive tackle Kenny Clark, who is 30, and 2 first-round picks. All right, this sounds eerily similar to the package that the Detroit Lions received for Matt Stafford. We got a Pro Bowl, former Pro Bowl, but remember, Jared Goff was on his way out in the NFL. People had left him for dead. Everybody talked about how, he's a throw-in piece. In fact, you don't even want him. He's too expensive. Remember that? We got Jared Goff, we got 2 first, and we got a 3rd. So the compensation was what had been deemed to be a has-been quarterback and 2 first and a 3rd for our Pro Bowl, perennial Pro Bowl, verge of all pro quarterback. More valuable position. The Cowboys received 2 first-round picks and a Pro Bowl defensive tackle. So why am I on the other side of this? A friend of mine was texting, and one of the first things he said was, laughing, he's like, we got Parsons, and then laughing at us because now we're going to have to pay Hutch $50 million. Okay, pause. My response to him was simple. I would rather pay Hutch $50 million than have to give up a Pro Bowl defensive tackle and 2 first-round picks for the right to pay Micah Parsons $47 million. See, that's the deal with this trade. You're not just trading straight up for players and money. You are spending $47 million on a player and losing 2 first-round picks. Now, everybody's saying, oh, those will be late first-round picks. That's what they said about the Rams with us. And year 1, the Rams won the Super Bowl. We got the 32nd pick. The second first-round pick was pick number, 6? Because Matt Stafford got hurt. And the team didn't win. The same thing would happen with the Packers if Jordan Love got hurt. So I don't want to sit here and have the conversation about how dumb the Cowboys were. Everybody talks about the Bengals being cheap, and the Bengals did screw up because they cost themselves a ton of money by waiting late with Jamar Chase. They waited late with Joe Burrow. They waited with T. Higgins, and they cost themselves a ton of money. I understand that. But the Cowboys waited with CeeDee Lamb. They waited with Dak Prescott, and they cost themselves a ton of money. However, you can't just give everyone the biggest contract in the world. Lions saved money by getting things done early with Goff. They saved a ton of money by getting things done early with St. Brown. They saved money by getting things done early with Sewell. They saved with McNeil, right? So they can do a lot of these things, but they couldn't get it done early enough with Hutch. So they are going to lose some money. So that's a bad deal. But I'm also going to sit here and say that I think the Packers may have actually hurt themselves a little bit with this move. Yes, it makes them better this year. There's zero doubt about that. And quite frankly, it probably makes them better next year. But then when you keep moving on to that, the question has to be, well, how do you pay Jordan Love $55 million a year and Micah Parsons $47 million a year and not have that just be a massive glaring look on your roster? All right. When you get into Micah Parsons' final 2 years of his contract, he is going to be paid $64 and $68 million for a defensive end. The highest numbers I've ever seen a defensive end make before the recent contracts, like when they're on the last year of their crazy high contract, was like high 30s million. Quarterbacks, we all scoffed at the idea that Goff would get this in some of the years of his contract, right? Just think about that. Average annual salary, he's making like $4 or $5 million less than Jared Goff. That's it. By far the biggest money. I thought the Cleveland Browns were being completely irrational when they went out and signed Myles Garrett to a 4-year, $160 million contract. I'm like, you are giving a defensive end $40 million a year. A large portion of that guaranteed. Are you crazy? And then the Packers come out and give this salary. Now, I will admit the salary is pretty well broke down. I mean, it's really well set up to pay him for 3 years and then let him go. I will admit that to be true, because in this final year, if they let him go, assuming Spotrac is correct in their numbers, if they let him go right here on this third year, they're only paying $17.6 million in dead cap, so they can save a large amount of money. All right, close to $50 million. If they decide to release him in that. So here's the deal. I want to talk, about who the Lions got. I'm excited about this 53rd man on the roster. I think it's a really good pickup. Interestingly enough, the Raiders cut him in order to pick up another guy that was on waivers. I thought that was interesting. Maybe they don't value the special teams. They have a lot of special teams guys like we do. But I like him even as a more competent backup in the safety role than what we're currently looking at. All right. Thanks for watching. Yep. I had a different opinion on Micah Parsons, and that's okay. Also, we have the Micah Parsons stopper. His name's Penei Sewell. Let's get it. See you on the next one.